10 culture shocks about UK. If you guys are into history and into learning things, write history in the comments. I feel like it's always something we can learn. I actually did videos like this on the channel before, so make sure you go on the channel. We also do comedy reactions and just an array of different things, so stay in tune. Now, if you are let us know where you guys are from. Obviously, we got some people that'll be from America, people that are from other places. Confirm if this information is correct. This is a couple that actually lives in UK, and this is about their experience, so let's get into it.
Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
And today we are going to tell you 10 things that were culture shock for us when we arrived here in England.
The first thing that shocked us when we arrived in England was just how many foreigners there are in London.
We'd always heard that London was multicultural, but just the extent of foreigners that were there was really shocking to us. And not in a bad way. It was just surprising because when we were coming to England, we're like, oh, there's probably gonna be a lot of English people and we'll be hearing lots of English. But when we were in public, about 90% of the languages we were hearing around us were foreign languages and not English.
Pretty much everywhere was represented in London, so that was really cool. And to just hear all of the different languages. Because we feel like, Seattle's pretty multicultural as well, but not to the extent of London.
No way.
Just all of the languages and everyone speaking different languages in the restaurants. We'd be sitting at our table and each table was speaking a different language.
This happened every time we went
Yeah, pretty
to
much
eat,
every time. There'd be like the table of Koreans. We could always hear them because
Korea.
we understand a tiny.
That's similar to America, though. America is similar. There's a lot of, it depends on what part of America. I'm from the East Coast, and I think that's like a melting pot. You get to see a lot of different cultures, and that experience that they described is like a New York thing. Also in LA as well. So it just depends where you live. What do you guys think about that?
A bit of Koreans who are like,
we lived in Korea for 2 years, for those of you who don't know.
The Koreans, French people, Eastern European people, just everywhere. Number two,
the subways are really small. It was actually shocking because our experience with subways is in Korea and Japan, and these subways are very wide. There's lots of standing room. They're also very tall, but the tube, as it's called in London, actually looks kind of like a tube. Yeah, it made sense.
It's like not tall, or at least the ones that we rode on were not tall, like all the way across on the ceiling, but it's kind of like
a box
curved or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like curved. Maybe not all of them are that way, but the ones that we were.
Yeah, that's definitely not how a New York subway look. You know what I mean? A New York subway, first of all, it is clean. I gotta applaud that. That's clean. New York subway is not clean. Not that clean. Not that clean where it looked like, sparkly like that.
Rode on were that way, so that was interesting.
It was just surprising and shocking how small the tube was, at least the tubes that we rode.
Speaking of tubes, that brings us to number 3. I love how English people wait patiently for people who are on the tube to get off before getting on the tube themselves. That is something after living in Korea for a couple years, you'll know that is not the case.
Yeah, East Coast, same thing. When you just get off the train, people are walking in and out. They trying to get in there before the doors close. So that is something that is definitely different than over here.
It is the subway doors open and the train stops. Everyone in Korea is just like pushing everybody else and getting on the subway as fast as they can. So it was nice to go to a place where everyone just stands aside and waits for those people who are on the train to get off, which is what should happen.
This is actually so shocking that the very first time we rode the tube, when the doors opened and everyone was waiting for people to get off, Grace turned to me and made that observation. She's like, oh my gosh, they're waiting for people to get off. What is this?
Madness.
Number 4, this is just a really quick one, but light switches here are different than they are in the States, and whereas in the States and Korea and other countries, you flip on to turn the light switch on.
Flip up,
You flip up to turn it on, and flip down to turn it off. Here,
it's the opposite.
Yeah, from what we've seen, you flip up to turn it off and flip down to turn it on.
Number 5, the other thing that we found surprising when we arrived in England was that power outlets have to be switched on to use them. So it has like a little switch next to it and you have to turn it on in order to use electronic appliances. So many times we've tried to boil like hot water for tea or coffee.
Or charge my phone.
And you forget to switch the power outlet on.
I kind of like that right there. That does save electricity. I kind of like that. And also let me know which one of these culture shocks you're really digging.
And it doesn't charge or the water doesn't boil and you're like, that though, because as I heard someone say the other day, it prevents like children from sticking things into the sockets and getting electrocuted. So I like that idea.
And then also, like in America, when we go on vacation or something like that, you have to run around the house and unplug everything so it doesn't. It's exhausting. It's not a fire hazard.
Or even like every night, you try to like unplug. It, you know?
Yeah. Here, you just turn the outlets off. So that's actually kind of cool. It was shocking, but it's kind of cool, and we'll probably try to do that on our own house one day.
Yeah, I like that.
Number 6, something else that has been a little shocking for us is that tipping here is a bit different than back in the States. Whereas in the States, when you go to a restaurant, any receipt that you get is gonna have a tip line where you write the tip. Here at restaurants, they don't have that. And most cafes don't even have a tip jar. And so it's been really confusing for us to figure out what we do for tipping.
I've heard also that tipping is super minimal here. Like if at all, it's like just really minimal. So that's definitely different than America, where as a server, you're like 20% or you're a bad table sort of.
Yeah. Question though, for the English folk in the audience, when I'm at a restaurant and they give me a receipt that doesn't have a tip line or anything on it, what am I supposed to do? Do I tip? Or is that just like a no tip? Yeah, do you leave it on the table? Or is that just like we all agree that there's no tipping going on in this situation? Please let me know down in the comments so I don't make any social faux pas.
Number 7. Real quick, I was just gonna mention that in grocery stores here in England, they generally have a much larger selection of cheese than they do back home in the States, which I'm not gonna complain about.
I love cheese.
I love that.
It's amazing.
I think it's just a lot more in the culture here, I guess, than it is back home. Whereas back home, you usually only have like a couple different kinds of cheese to choose from, and
Cheddar,
not like
Gouda.
Yeah, not like mozzarella or Parmesan.
Mozzarella, yeah.
Not like specialty cheeses. Here you'll have like many different types, and they'll be different ages as well.
Number 8. This is one you hear a lot, probably, but we don't know which direction to look when we cross the road. And this is for a couple of reasons. 1, people here drive on the left side of the road, and so that's confusing. But 2, there are also a ton of one-way streets here, both in London and in the villages that we've been in and towns. Lots of one-way streets that aren't obvious one-way streets. And so when we cross, it is so confusing to know
which way to look.
And so
it's quite dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, like I am in fear of being struck by an automobile. That sounded ridiculous.
That was yeah. We're working on our English accent.
That wasn't an English accent. That was just me.
Sounding like an English person.
In London, though, there is a nice, I think it's so polite and courteous how they put on the ground, like, look this way.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Before crossing the street, there's like paint on the sidewalk that says, look left, or look right, or look both ways. And so I thought that was kind of cool.
That's kind of good.
That was really good.
These English folk have our back.
They know we're stupid.
Number 9. This is more of a question, but it was also a very big culture shock. Why are there 2 separate spigots for hot and cold water? This, like, somebody please explain. I don't understand this.
I mean,
do you want to wash your hands in freezing cold water and not kill any of the germs? I don't know if that's correct, but whatever, that's what I think. Or do you want to scald yourself so that you can't even feel and then you have to be fed by your husband for the next few days? Like, choose.
It was very confusing.
That's crazy.
And this is not just something we've seen in homes, but we've seen it in museums, in churches, in cafes, in restaurants.
Like everywhere in the restroom. It's 2 separate.
2 separate spigots, and you get scalding hot water or you get freezing cold water.
And so, like, what I was doing, I know this is ridiculous,
but yeah, I was just
like throwing them together and like, somebody explain, because somebody's got an explanation for why this is better, I'm sure.
Explain it to us.
It's not.
Number 10, it was shocking to us how much people jaywalk here. We had been warned by friends that, hey, just so you know, in London, it's okay to jaywalk. But when we came here, it was just surprising to see how frequently everyone jaywalks. Literally everyone jaywalks all the time. Yeah,
I mean, that's similar to the East. Everybody jaywalks all the time. On the East Coast. On the West Coast, they don't like jaywalking.
Constant jaywalking. And we're coming from Seattle, which is, I think, in the United States, we are famous for being a city that no one jaywalks in. So it was really shocking to come to England and no one, it's just that
Is that really true? Like in Seattle is famous for not jaywalking?
Like
Constant jaywalking.
Jaywalking. Look, run. Look, run.
Which makes you feel extremely stressed out as foreigners because we don't know which way to look. So we're like, oh, we can't just wait for this light, which is going to last forever. We should jaywalk, but then we don't know which direction the cars are coming from. So if we jaywalk, we might die. So it's kind of like,
And then you know who the foreigners are because they're the ones that are waiting for the light.
Oh.
Wow. That. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you.
All right. That was pretty interesting. 10 culture shocks of UK. What was the most shocking to y'all? Me personally, I think the faucets was good. I think that was a little weird. The turning off the outlets that you can turn it off. But I think that's actually safe. I mean, if you're a parent, I'm a parent. I think that safety is always good. The streets is still like mentally, I don't think that it would take me a while to get comfortable to do that. Like realizing that you drive on a different side and all of that stuff is just different. But yeah, I love these kind of videos. I love finding out new things that I didn't know before. If you guys have any recommendations, feel free to drop them in the comments so I can react to them. Also, I need your help. We are on our way to 100,000 subs by the end of this year. So make sure you guys sub up and I'll see you on the next one.